Alrighty, y'all. This is Jabari. This is Truth Behind the Numbers, the first episode presented by S4G Training. Not only can we teach you and train you to physically play the game and be a better player, we're now going to teach you how to think the game by using the numbers and figuring out where the truth lies. This is real talk. This is real numbers. This is real truth. We're going to take a deep dive into these numbers and all the stories that you can find throughout using these numbers. Because not only do numbers tell you a story, they will answer questions that have been unanswered for a long time. The past, the present, and the future all have a story that's based upon numbers. So tune in today to see what stories we're going to be telling. So on today's episode, we're going to be discussing my top 10 of all time, just so you guys can understand where I stand, numbers I'm holding, and where I put them on the totem pole, and how you can see, so you understand I have a baseline, a foundation. So if I ever slip up, you guys can come back and let me know. Now, Jabbar, you said you was right here. So now my best player has now moved up some runs and moved down, however you want to talk about it. But I want to let you guys know where I'm at. And yes, my top 10 has criteria. And there are certain places on 1 and 2, 3 or 4 where you can move people up and down. If you want to swap two people, I'll tell you where that's viable and where that's possible. I'll tell you who's stuck in their spot and no moving up and moving down based on the criteria. And then you make with it what you make with it. If you like it, cool. If you don't, cool. But just know it's the truth because I'm using the numbers. We'll also be talking about the first round of the playoffs so far. I'm recording this as of it is. Let's see what. Make sure I get the correct date for you guys. I'm recording this on Monday the 27th before certain games were played. The Nuggets played today. They were down 3-1 before this is going to be airing. The Orlando Magic and the Detroit Pistons are playing. This will be recorded before that game. I believe the Orlando Magic were up 2-1. And there was one more game that came on today. Let me go double check. And then it was the Thunder and the Suns will be playing today as well. The Thunder are up 3-0. We're going to discuss this and how the media has a bunch of inconsistencies throughout this playoff run. All right, because there's certain things that I feel as if the numbers need to hold some people accountable, because media heads, they get up and talk on Monday and say one thing, and then by Wednesday they done changed, flipped it up, and it's just very hypocritical. So somebody has to bring some logic and some accountability to the podcast space here with basketball. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you were watching on YouTube, I'm gonna put some graphics up here to help you guys visualize what I'm breaking down. If you are and you're listening on Spotify, on iPodcast, or iHeartRadio, anywhere you find your podcast, I'm going to try to break this down to a T so you can even visualize it while you're in your car, while you're on your run, wherever you're listening to your podcast. We want to thank you guys again. Again, this is behind the truth behind the numbers, presented by S4G Training. Like, comment, and subscribe. So I'm gonna give you 3 names who are viable to crack the top 10, and 2 of them can crack it this year based on things they can do. All right. So a person who's kind of stuck in this spot because he's not in the playoffs this year, and within these 3 below the top 10, you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has 1 championship, 1 Finals MVP, 2 MVPs. All right. Now, before I continue, I want to put a disclaimer. I did not include Bill Russell. I did not include Wilt Chamberlain. Okay. I am going from the 80s and on. If you want to talk about Pistol Pete, you want to talk about all of them, there's a guy by the name of Mad Dog Russo. He on Sirius XM. Y'all check him out. That is a free pub for Mad Dog Russo, all right? If you want about the sevens, he'll talk to you about it. That's just not going to be me, all right? Going on, you got Shea, one-time champion, one-time Finals MVP, and as of right now, he's still a one-time MVP, but he could be a two-time MVP by the end of this year, based on when they go ahead and get that award out. All right. Then you got Jokic, who's a one-time champ, one-time Finals MVP, three-time MVP. All right. So if Jokic or Shea go ahead and get a championship and a Finals MVP, they will then crack the criteria. All right, and have a possible chance of getting above number 10. So number 10, I'm putting him here because he does have 4 chips. Now, I have the chips you won and the counting chips. So for me, if you're going to be top 10, means you were that guy. So I'm counting your chips when you were that guy. And how I determine who was that guy? The Finals MVP. So this next person here, he gets a step up over Jokic and Shea and Giannis. Even though Jokic has more MVPs, those championships, even the non-counting ones, I'm gonna put some of those in there. Put his career, how he changed the game a little bit, but he is teetering there, and Jokic and Shea, and even a Giannis can find a way to surpass him in the future. And if we redo this thing, he may not be on the top 10 anymore. That's Steph Curry. He has 4 championships, 1 Finals MVP, 2 MVPs. One is unanimous, the one and only unanimous MVP of all time. And he has 1 counting chip. Now, to be from 6 to 9, this is the criteria. You need 2 championships, 2 Finals MVPs, and 1 MVP. These are minimums to be from 6 to 9. All right. At number 9, we have Kevin Durant. He has 2 championships, 2 Finals MVPs, 1 MVP. So that means he'll have 2 counting chips because he won the Finals MVP for both of them. All right. Now 6 through 8, you can put these in any order you want. This is my preference, but I think these 3 are all right here. Okay. So I have Kobe at number 8. He has 5 championships, 2 Finals MVPs, and 1 MVP. Now he has 2 counting chips because he won 5 total, but 3 of his 5, the Finals MVP was Shaquille O'Neal. So what do you have? 2 counting chips. All right. Number 7 is Larry Bird. He's a 3-time champion, 2 times Finals MVP, 3-time MVP. All right. He has 2 counting chips as well because he has 2 Finals MVPs. Number 6 for me, because of what he did on both ends of the floor, the amount of defensive selections he has on defensive all-team selections he has, block leaders, all this good stuff. Hakeem Olajuwon is number 6 for me. 2-time champion, 2-time Finals MVP, and 1-time Finals MVP, and 1-time MVP. He has 2 counting chips because he got a Finals MVP for both of them. Now, for you to get into the next tier, which is 5 and up. Now, 5, this person is set in stone because the criteria is going to jump again after number 5. Who just to be 5, you have a certain level. There's another added addition to the criteria for you to be 4 and up. Okay, so number 5, who I think is set in stone, it can't move. No, not at all. Shaquille O'Neal, 4-time champion, 1-time MVP, and he is a 3-time Finals MVP. All right, so my criteria for to be top 5 is 3-time champion, 3-time Finals MVP, and at least 1 MVP. You have to have that for you to be top 5. Now, for you to be top 4, you got to have at least 3 chips, 3 Finals MVPs, and that'll put you at 2 MVPs in the regular season. All right, for you to be top 4. So 3 and 4, I think, are interchangeable. All right. So 4 for me is Tim Duncan, 5-time champion, 2-time MVP, 3-time Finals MVP. So that gives him 3 counting championships because he won 3 Finals MVPs. Number 3 is Magic Johnson, 5-time champion, 3-time MVP, 3-time Finals MVP. He has 3 counting chips because he has 3 Finals MVPs. All right. Now 1 and 2. Interchange them how you want to based on what shoes you wear, what shoes you don't wear. Don't matter to me. This is who I believe are the 2 greatest players to ever play the game. All right. Number 2, we have Michael Jeffrey Jordan, 6-time champion, 5-time MVP, 6-time Finals MVP, so 6 counting chips. Then we have number 1, in my opinion, is LeBron James, 4-time champion, 4-time Finals MVP, 4-time MVP, 4 counting chips. All right, so those are my top 10. The difference between 3 and 4, I say it's interchangeable. I look at some of the numbers. 1 and 2, you got to go a deeper dive into the numbers, which we're going to get to that in later episode. I just wanted to give you guys a foundation. We'll break down all these numbers on why I got Bird ahead of Kobe, Hakeem with Bird, like all of that stuff we can break down at a later episode. I just want to give you guys a top 10 and where I was at for right now. Now, it's time to go to work and get in on some of this inconsistency from these talking heads, a la Stephen A, a la Mad Dog Russo. We're talking about the what's my boy on that podcast? Emmanuel Acho. I don't even know how he talk basketball. We'll get to that another day. You got Emmanuel Acho. You got the Out the Mud now, the new Out the Mud, with Charlie V and them. You got Gil's Arena. It's a lot of people who just be talking and don't have any numbers to back it up. So we're gonna break some of this down. So first round, some of the inconsistencies that I see with this, I'm gonna go through each series and tell you what I see. Some inconsistencies from either media heads, officials. What I don't see being a fair assessment of what the headlines are from the beginning of the series to now, right? So the first one is OKC versus Suns. Now, couple of just straight facts. OKC is a better team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They had 64 wins to the Suns 45. They were fifth in offensive rating. The Suns were 16th. They were second in defensive rating. The Suns were 10th. They were first in net rating. On average this year, they beat teams on average by 11.1 points. Okay, that puts them at the number 1 net rating. The Suns have 15. I'm at 1.5. Okay. Now, a couple of facts: the Suns were not healthy the whole year. I think they still overachieved based on what the preseason thought of them as a team was. They overachieved. Dylan Brooks played out his mind this year. He had a career year, um, which I actually wish that Dylan Brooks would go ahead and, I don't want to say put away the I'm the tough guy thing, like 'cause that's kind of his thing, but he's too good of a player now for people to only know him as picking on people. Like, dude, go out there and hoop. Like, he is starting to show he can hoop for real. And I wish that he would let that go and let him and D Book and all of them show the world that they can actually play some good basketball. All right. Um, the Suns are, I still think in the West, they're between a 6th, the highest, 6 and 8, 6 to 8 seed. So, at the play in, 7, 8, 9, 10 have a chance to move up and down. I think that's where they really are. So I think they could have ended up being an 8 seed even if they were healthy. Now, inconsistencies. Oklahoma City, their coverage and play style versus what is being called on the different teams and how they're being officiated. Shea is great, all right? But I believe, like, compared to the other stars who played in similar fashions, he gets a different level of respect. Because the way they're talking about Shea now, James Harden didn't get this love when he was going on his run and he was manipulating the referees. They talk about Jokic a little bit in his flopping. They talk about Luka a lot in his flopping, or you're foul baiting, the unethical hoops, as they would say. Shea don't get enough heat from the mainstream media, like TikTok, Instagram. Oh, listen, y'all be in it. Y'all be free throw merchant, all that. I love it. But the mainstream media is not looking at him like that. They are starting to build him up. And I'm going to show you why building people up a little too fast before they're really there, it's unfair to the other stars in the league. and it's not what was done before. Okay, because Shea pushes off a lot, he flops a lot. It's not real hoop, and now you get to the NBA playoffs, and nobody wants to see that. All right. The officiating is crazy. It reminds me of an AAU team who has 27 dudes, and they like, hey, listen, the ref can't call all the fouls. And you would just hope that at the NBA you would get a little bit more than that. You can't touch them, but they can tackle you. And I'll get in on Lou Dort a later date because we got to talk about if people are dirty in the league still to this day, the physicality, all that stuff. We got to go look into a deep dive into that as well. All right, the next series we're gonna go to is the Lakers versus the Rockets. Um, and the inconsistency in what the Rockets were before the series started and what they were gonna do to the Lakers versus how we're talking about the Rockets now. Like the Rockets are now some trash team that everybody knew was trash. That's not true. Charles Barkley himself, when he was asked, said the Lakers were going to lose to every single team that Kenny threw out there. He said, Minnesota, they're losing. Houston, they're losing. Everybody losing, right? Stephen A. Smith came out on First Take and said, without Reeves and without Luka, Lakers couldn't stop a cold against the Dallas Mavericks, and they gonna lose to whoever, and the Rockets gonna sweep them, gonna do all this, and people were saying if LeBron and them can win one game or two games, it's an accomplishment. This Rockets team gonna beat them. Can he try to prolong the series just long enough for somebody to come back and help them win? But now the Rockets are trash, and they're the same players that walked into the series before it started. I'm gonna read y'all some numbers just so you know. The Rockets have been favored to win every game so far. All four. In the first game, they were minus 150 favorite. That means well, let me break down like how this stuff works real quick. So the Lakers were plus 125 underdog. So that means for every dollar you bet, you win 125. And vice versa on the other end. If they were a negative 150 favorite, you gotta pay $150 just to win one. It's the best way I can put it, right? Okay. Game two. So first game, KD is out. There's still the Rockets are still a 150 favorite. Okay, minus 150. Game two, KD comes back. They're minus 170. Now the Lakers are up 2-0. They're up 2-0 going to Houston. KD's out. You know what the Rockets were? They were minus 200. And then you would think after they lost that game and they're down 3-0, now they would say the Lakers are the favorite. No. The Rockets were favored at minus 162. Like, but now the Rockets are trash around mainstream media. They're the dumbest team. They're this, and Goon's not that guy. Man, not that guy. KD's not a leader. Udoka getting out cold. No, man. It just happened to be that maybe JJ Redick isn't just a podcaster. Maybe Luke Kennard is not just a shooter. Maybe Marcus Smart can dig down deep and be the Marcus Smart from Boston. Maybe the 41-year-old can still play hoop. Maybe Rui Hachimura. Maybe DeAndre Ayton. These players are coming together. And instead of giving these players their props for playing better than the expectations, rather than saying the Lakers have caused the Rockets to look bad, the Rockets are trash. That's why the Lakers look good. And that's the problem I have with the mainstream media. Because I believe that if you look at Stephen A. and any of these guys out here, you can debate them with themselves. I'm gonna break that. I can't wait to get into that one because Stephen A. He has an episode just for himself and the numbers because there was a time where Stephen A. used to say, "Oh, X, Y, and Z is not clutch," and now he say they are clutch, or X and Y and Z was clutch, and now he says they're not clutch. I would just play Stephen A. versus Stephen A. and ask him at what point were you lying? I'm gonna keep it moving if I get on that soapbox. So now we look at the Nuggets versus the Wolves, and I said earlier my top 10, Jokic is close, really good, but there is some harsh truth about Jokic and there's a double standard for other stars because Jokic plays no defense. And could you guys imagine? Just imagine if a role player came out and said in the media about Steph Curry, about Kevin Durant, about Anthony Edwards, about LeBron, about Kobe, about any of these players, walked out and said to the person they say is the best in the world, and said, "Oh, he can't guard a park car with a Uzi. He can't guard nobody. He a liability," and then go out there and dunk on him the next game. Like it, it will be all over the place, but not with Jokic. They try to get you to get this thing where, oh, Jokic doesn't care. He loves his horses and all. Miss me with that. Because if you didn't care, would you, when you got down 3-1, would you have rushed Jaden Daniels for a layup? When you got down 3-0 against the Suns about 3 or 4 years ago, would you have clothesline campaign and got ejected? Jokic is a sore loser, and that's okay. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying stop telling people and stop trying to push this narrative that this man is coming over here doing certain things to American players or the players in the league. He's the best in the world, but he doesn't care. He cares. He cares a whole lot. So let's look at this because, again, if there's a drop off like this in shooting percentages and how you're playing, anybody else, they'll be talking about this. He shot 38% from three in the regular season. In this series, he is shooting 18%. He shot 57% from the field. In this series, he is now shooting 39%. And so, what I want is hold the stars accountable to the same standard that you've always had. Don't change it now. Don't get nice now. Don't get cute now. If they're playing bad and you want to talk about them, talk about everybody the same way. No double standard. Because if he can go win 3 MVPs and not play any defense, James Harden has won, maybe he could have won more. Steph never played defense like that. What do? He won 2. But now when there's players in the league now, you want to bring up defense when it comes to Luka and say that's why he can't win one. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can't get in the thing. They're not offensively good enough, but they guard better than anybody else you're talking about. So that's what I want. I want people to be fair on both ends. Because when he's great, I praise him. I put him near my top 10. But when he's bad, I gotta tell you, you were bad. Because that's the truth behind the numbers. And last but not least, the Spurs versus the Blazers. This series was over before it started. I don't think there was ever a chance of the Blazers doing anything. And I think we gotta just talk about how valuable Wemby actually is. And people are like, well, they won a playoff game without Wemby. That is true. They're playing a terrible team. But I have a problem with the lack of coverage and the lack of credibility that they're giving the Spurs. Because the Spurs waxed OKC 3 times this year. Spurs waxed Denver. The Spurs have waxed Detroit. They've waxed the Lakers. The Spurs have beaten the great teams every time Wemby plays. So why is it that Wemby is not? I don't think he's given enough. He gonna win the Defensive Player of the Year. I think he already won it already. But I think he's more valuable than Shea. I think he's more valuable than Jokic. I think he's the MVP. His on-off numbers are staggering. They go from being the top 5 defense to being a bottom 25. They go from being um, a great offense to a mediocre offense. They're a championship contender when he's on the court. They're 9, the 12 seed probably in the lottery without him. Give my man his love. This is the first episode of Truth Behind the Numbers. Again, my name is Jabbar. This is presented by S4G Training. This will probably be coming out uh, hopefully by Wednesday. It's out on all platforms. That is the hope. If not, I'm still gonna get in this lab in a couple days. Go ahead and do episode 2. Episode 2 is gonna be fun, guys. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Our hot topic, which I'm gonna try to structure all our episodes like this: hit a hot topic, and while the playoffs are going, knock out some playoff stuff. All right, hit a hot topic, knock off some playoff stuff. So next episode, we are gonna discuss the difference between Kobe's 81 and Bam's 83. Or was there a difference? Mainstream media will make you believe there was. But let's dive into the numbers because this is real talk. Real talk. We don't got time. Just nothing but real talk, real numbers, real truth. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy the pod. I look forward to doing many, many more. This is my love. I love math. I love numbers. I love hoop. Bringing them together. Again, like, comment, subscribe. If you got anything that I've said so far that you didn't like, my top 10 with the inconsistency because one of your teams got this, let me know in the comment section. For the next episode, we'll have a little more time where I'll dive into questions I've gotten throughout the week. You can DM me, whatever you got to do, put it in the comment section. Let me know where I should go next. Thank you guys again for tuning in. This is the truth behind the numbers. If you don't like the numbers, you don't want the truth. If you want the truth, find the numbers.